Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, she lost everything in Vegas.
$2.5 million.
She played right beside me.
So you had her in a bar gambling at 16?
Now,
I gave birth to her. I didn't have to keep her.
has she lost her daughter as well?
That's all I'm asking, for an apology.
Ain't gonna happen.
How do you feel about being here with her now?
I don't feel anything.
I just want to hurt her back the way she's hurt me.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I'll try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
In 5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Imagine if your life read like a newspaper headline that went something like this. My mother gambled nearly $2.5 million away, and now she is destitute. Well, that's what Carrie says is happening with her mother, who owned a jewelry store and was living the high life as a big spender in Las Vegas with limos, comped, suites, and cabanas by the pool. But now this high roller is rolling along in an RV. Why? How did this mom go from selling jewelry to selling pumpkins on the side of the road? Well, her daughter Carrie says mom was selfish and entitled, and it was her undoing. Take a look.
When things were really good in my mom's life, she was doing great things. My mother was the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. She was also the president of the Rotary Club. Everyone really seemed to like her. She seemed to have it all. My stepdad also owned a jewelry store. It was a big deal. During the high times, they had a really nice house. My mom had a Firebird. They had a Lincoln Mark 8. Anytime my parents would go to Vegas, they were treated like royalty. They would have the cabanas at the pool, the suites with the jacuzzi tubs. My mom was definitely living two lives. She would be drunk at night, partying it up, and then during the day, she was this outstanding executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. I really started to get concerned about the gambling. My parents started spiraling out of control. They would go to Vegas 2 or 3 times a month. They started losing everything. They lost their jewelry store, they lost the house, the cars. They could barely make ends meet. My mom's image in the community went into the toilet. She's a moocher. If you mention my mom's name to anyone, she's known as the piece of who borrowed the money and didn't pay it back. She's mooched off of everyone else in the entire family. My mom gambled away $2.5 million and blames me for being broke. Now my mother is on the verge of being homeless, living in an RV. I tried to get my parents back on their feet. I started giving my mom $200 a month to help out with the necessities. She is expecting me to pick up pieces for her because she's made all these decisions along the way. It's not my responsibility. I'm not her parent.
You're saying she went from lavish lifestyles and spending all this money and rolling high and being in limos to now she's got her hand out saying, oops, that didn't work. Now you're supposed to take care of her.
Because she was my mom and she raised me, that I owe her everything. That I should be the one to take care of her and pick up the pieces.
So she lavished all of this on you at the time.
Yes.
So now you owe it to her to take care of her.
Exactly. She says, you rode my coattails during the trips to Vegas and everything like that, and now you owe me.
Well, I mean, is that unreasonable totally? I mean, don't all parents hope that when we get a little long in the tooth that our, kids will kind of remember us and be there to take care of us in our old age?
However, when it's...
Jay, Jordan?
When it's expected that you provide a handout and then you try to help and do what you can, and then someone turns around and spits in your face and tells you that it's not good enough, I want more, I need more, and they don't try to actually help themselves and fix their problem, then it gets a little ridiculous.
Yeah. So the point is not that you aren't willing to help your mother. in her old age. You can't please her.
No, there's no pleasing this woman.
We've heard Carrie's point of view, but her mother Diane claims that there is a whole other side to this story. There is a problem. And she says it's sitting right here. So let's hear Mom's point of view.
Right now, my daughter, Carrie Lynn, and I do not have a relationship. I'm sick and tired of the way she treats me. She becomes hateful, mean, nasty. Then she turns it around and says it's my fault. How dare her? I call her my horrid little child. She's just a horrible person. I had to block my phone because of the horrible texts. They were filthy, nasty, hateful. This is just one of the many, many texts that I had received from my daughter. And you think I owe you? You owe me, bitch. A childhood is what you owe me. Grow the up, you stupid. You're an addict. You're an idiot. You. Call someone else who gives a Oh, wait, there is no one. One of the texts that sticks in my mind that Carrie sent me is that she was going to do everything in her power to ruin us. It's a good thing that I didn't have a vehicle because I would have gone over to her house and kicked her ass. I want to kick the out of her. She's terrible. Be careful and turn your back on her because she's going to follow you. And hopefully she doesn't have a knife in her hand. I'm fed up. I'm pissed. I'm tired of her. If someone steps on me, hurts me, takes advantage of me, 3 strikes, you're out. And she's had 3 strikes. She's out.
Well, Diane is here. She has not seen her daughter in a year. So let's bring her out and let them see each other for the first time in a year. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Well.
Have a seat right here if you would.
Thank you.
It's your daughter, of course. Mm-hmm. Y'all have not seen each other in a year. How do you feel about being here with her now?
I don't feel anything.
Yeah, just nothing.
Nothing. Do I feel anger? Do I feel
frustrated? Do you not want to talk about this? We don't have to talk about this.
Well, you can talk about it, but
well,
I don't.
Listen, don't do me any favors. I'm just asking you questions.
I'm not doing you any favors.
You act like you don't want to talk about it. If you don't have to be here.
Well, my understanding is that you wanted us to try and work out a relationship, and I don't see how it can be. You told us that you wanted to save our family.
I haven't told you anything.
That's what she said.
Well, it seems that you do have some feelings about this.
I'm disgusted. How can anybody talk about their mother that way?
Really? Are you going to play the poor me role? Like, really?
Oh, God.
You want to show the text messages that you sent? Oh, you don't remember. Let me guess. It was one of your drug-induced states.
Drug-induced?
How many medications do you take?
Oh, I'm glad.
And how do you get your medications?
I'm glad that you said medications and not drugs.
It's drugs, medications, whatever. You can abuse any kind of medication. It doesn't matter. You can abuse prescription medications. You can use street drugs. It doesn't matter. You abuse prescription medications.
And why am I seeing a doctor?
Why are you seeing a doctor? You don't see a doctor. You have to physically go in and actually see the doctor in order to see the doctor. This guy prescribes you medication over the phone to wherever you are, whatever part of the country that you're in at that time, and then you go and pick up the prescriptions. I don't know how a doctor can prescribe medication like that.
Well, there is a doctor that's here.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a break, hit the reset button. Carrie says her mother put her career, her freedom, her children in jeopardy. We're going to find out what Diane is accused of doing and why Carrie says Diane threatened to frame her for it when she confronted her with it. We'll be right back.
I could have lost my home, my career, my kids. I had to completely cut her out of my life.
And later...
You did exactly what you said you were going to do. I'm going to do everything in my power to ruin you.
I just want to hurt her back the way she's hurt me.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My daughter was kidnapped by sex traffickers.
Lured to a hotel room by an online friend.
I woke up in a black closet. They made me sleep with over 20 men a day.
Her mother speaks out.
She's not the only victim, but you think that I'm a little bit worried
about me?
And what she says
You sound resentful towards her.
may surprise you.
If your child goes missing and you haven't seen them in 2 or 3 weeks, you're not a victim?
That's tomorrow.
We always went to Vegas. We went a lot. We had a jacuzzi. We had a room we could look down on all the peons. We were invited to every New Year's Eve party from every casino that had any status in Vegas. We were RFB, room, food, and beverage, which means you don't pay for anything. They would put Dom Perignon at 3 different bars. All I had to do was ask. Manicures, pedicures, facials, full body massage, everything. One time, my husband won $40,000, and he handed me $15,000. I went upstairs, put the money around the jacuzzi, took a picture of all the money. We had fun. Plus, we owned a jewelry store. I had a ring on every finger. On an average, I would have probably at least $50,000 worth of jewelry. We lived the dream.
Well, Diane was living the life of a high roller, gambling every weekend with free suites, limos, cabanas at her beck and call.
It was great.
Then she ended up losing $2.5 million and is now destitute, living in an RV and not on speaking terms with her daughter. You lost $2.5 million.
Didn't lose it, played it.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
I'm not a gambler, so I don't.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. She played right beside me.
Yeah.
She wasn't even old enough to play.
So you had
she wanted
her in
to.
there gambling at 16?
And she wanted to.
But she was 16.
No, she wasn't. She was 19. No, she was not old enough. You're right. I won't argue that.
She was underage.
Yeah.
How did she, didn't you win like $1,000 jackpot at one point?
Yes, Dr. Phil, I hit a
How old
royal
were you?
flush. I was about 16, 17.
And you hit a royal flush on a slot machine?
On a video poker machine. At the bar.
In a bar,
Yes.
playing video poker
Yes.
at 16 or 17.
Yes, Dr. Phil.
Was that okay with you?
She was sitting right next to me, Dr. Phil.
Oh. When she won, you were there?
When I hit the royal flush, I actually had to tap her and slide her over, and I left the bar so that she could get paid.
Did it bother you that you had a minor in there gambling in a bar?
Of course it did.
I was drinking, too.
But I forced you to do that.
You what?
No.
I forced her to do
But you didn't say I couldn't.
Can we get back to your responsibility as a parent
Sure.
Yeah.
in having her in a bar gambling at 16?
Why did we turn this around on me? Did you not?
This is it.
Did you not? Did
This
you
is
not?
why we're here.
Where'd you get that jewelry?
What do you mean?
Where did you get that jewelry?
Oh, my wedding ring? Oh, well, my stepdad sold me the middle piece. The other 2 pieces we got from K Jewelers. Actually, we just paid it off last month.
Oh, you had the money to do that?
Yeah, I have the money. I have money. I
know
live
you
in a
do.
budget.
I know.
I live within my means.
Were you insinuating that you gave her these or that she got these from the jewelry store that you had?
Yeah.
No, my stepdad sold this ring to my husband.
It's
Which
He
Very
sold it to him for $1,000.
Which
So
husband?
yes, Dr. Phil, we got a really good deal on this because my stepfather is a jeweler. However, we paid for it. My husband paid for it.
You have had times in your life where you worked very hard, were very successful, and set a really good example for your daughter, correct?
Yeah, I did.
And then there was a tipping point where things kind of fell apart, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And,
If you gamble, that's what happens.
right. And I put together a timeline where we can kind of see kind of what the progression of time was. In 92, you were elected president of the Rotary Club. In 93, executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. You bought a beautiful house on the hill. Your husband bought a jewelry store. You had nice cars and a nice life.
I'm so glad.
Then in '96, you left the Chamber of Commerce. They said the director's contract was just not renewed, right?
Yeah.
And in '97, you closed the jewelry store, and it says '99, you sold the jewelry store, sold the inventory, and gambled in Vegas. So you actually liquidated the inventory and used that money to gamble with, correct? That's how you described it to us. You actually liquidated it and took that money to Vegas to
Well,
gamble
actually, we had to live on it.
Right. And then in '05, this house that you had back here in '93, you had to sell that house. And then 11, did you live in an RV?
We live in an RV.
Okay. And then in 2013, just a few years ago, you, according to you, she was stealing a prescription of your husband's Adderall.
Yes.
And selling it interstate through the mail.
Yes.
For money to a friend.
Yes.
Out of your home.
Yes, sir.
So interstate drug trafficking.
Exactly.
This is small time. She wasn't like selling like hundreds of thousands of.
It was a bottle of pills that she mailed to her friend, and her friend mailed a check to my house. And when I confronted my mother about this, I was told, why are you making such a big deal out of something so small? And I was flabbergasted because they put everything that I have in jeopardy. My life, my kids, my career, my home, everything, my freedom. Just for a couple $100 or whatever it was. And the thing about it, Dr. Phil, is at that time, I was paying their lot rent for their RV. I was giving them $200 a month directly to their bank account. And if they needed anything, I was there to help them out. That's all I'm asking, for an apology.
Oh, ain't gonna happen.
Wow.
I don't care.
If you have a family member or a friend who you believe is living a lie and needs help coming clean with themselves, with you, with whoever, log on to drphil.com and share your story. You felt like this was illegal. She was selling a prescription drug to a person that didn't have a prescription. It wasn't her prescription to begin with. And she was selling it to someone that didn't have a prescription. So that was illegal.
And as you know, it's a controlled narcotic.
Right.
So, yes.
And so she was selling that to someone else and from your house.
Yes, Dr. Phil.
And you confronted her about it, and what was her reaction?
It was, like I said, why are you making such a big deal out of nothing? And then as I'm talking to my stepfather on the phone, she's in the background calling me a... Can I say it?
No.
Okay. Just a bad name, okay? And then in the background, she's telling me how she's going to take the bottle of pills that she stole from my medicine cabinet that belonged to my husband and take them and try to frame me and say that I actually gave them to her to sell, which was a load of crap.
That's amazing.
Is that how that happened?
No.
Really?
How did it happen?
What happened? That
Can you just take responsibility for your actions? This is why you got those text messages from me, Mom. Because I'm so angry with you, because I'm so hurt. That's all I'm asking. For an apology.
Oh, ain't gonna happen.
Wow.
Do you all, I mean, you all can just, I don't care.
How does a mom...
I don't care.
How does a mom
do this
to her daughter? Someone that has the same blood running through their veins. How do you do that?
I don't know. You're the one that's telling the story.
And it's true. Have I lied?
Yeah, you have, but it doesn't matter.
What did I lie about? Tell me.
The drugs is
I lied?
not... Yes.
What did I lie about?
Selling the drugs from your house and stealing them?
Selling the drugs from...
How dare you?
Did you or did you not mail a prescription from my house?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Did send a check to my house?
Yes.
For what?
For money she owed me.
You're lying. You're lying. It just needs to stop. Stop and take responsibility. I'm your daughter. And you want to say that I took advantage of your love?
I'm so glad that you did this. You did exactly what you said you were going to do.
What did I do?
Exactly what you said. I'm going to do everything in my power to ruin you.
No, I didn't do this. You did this. You did this. You and your actions and your decisions. I asked you to come so that I could help you guys.
How do you treat your children?
I treat my children just fine.
Oh, my God. You have never stood in front of your children with your finger in the face and called them everything but a...
No, that's you, Mom.
Oh, my...
Way to turn it around. You having flashbacks from when I was a kid? When you backed me in the corner and told me how I almost killed you when I was born?
Where did you get that?
Really? Oh, you were drunk. You probably don't remember because you have a tendency to wake up and not remember things you do.
Well, she says in 1991, you came home drunk and you started screaming at her that she almost killed you at birth and that you hated her for it.
Mm-hmm. Pre-eclampsia, Mom? Ring a bell?
No.
You're going to sit here and tell me that I'm crazy, that I treat my kids bad? My kids are treated so great because I learned what not to do because of you. You're going to sit here and deny that you didn't do all these things?
Yes.
You did all this. You did all this.
Is nothing she's saying true?
No.
Are there things that she said that you would agree with, that you would change? Or is she completely delusional here?
Well, of course she's not delusional. But she very well...
Mom, how can you make this stuff up? I'm not making this up. This is my life. And you're taking no responsibility. And you're going to sit here and not take responsibility for what you did a year ago? That you were selling drugs from my house. I have a thing called integrity. Do you even care about me?
No. Not now.
No?
Not now. I know y'all can just think what you want.
Mom, this is the truth. I'm not lying. You did these things. Why do you think that no one else is up on this stage right now? Why do you think no one else showed up?
Why did I say I wasn't going to do this in the first place?
Well, you said because you thought I'd be on the stage and in uniform and everyone would be here against you and my husband would be here. He didn't even want to waste his time.
And what did I just find out?
What?
That Jody's here.
Yeah. Because she's more of a mother to me than you are. I respect her. She loves me. She cares about me. She's there for me, and she's there for my kids. She's a grandmother to my kids, not you.
Well, the Jody we're talking about is your mother-in-law?
Yes, Dr. Phil.
And she is here. We'll find out what she has to say when we come back.
The adjectives that I would use to describe Diane are selfish, demanding, and self-centered. Very narcissistic. She's a moocher, and she needs to take responsibility for her actions.
My mom went from being the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce to someone that has to clean toilets in an RV park or sell pumpkins on the side of the road. She was fired from selling the pumpkins because she was stealing money from them.
Well, Carrie has not spoken to her in a year due to the fact that Diane has, according to her, been mooching off of her ever since she lost $2.5 million. Now, Carrie's mother-in-law, Jody, says Diane not only lacks the ability to be a good mother, but she treats her daughter like an ATM.
They can't even match the music. They can't even rap, they're just black producing. Now they wanna crack the new shit. They just wanna act, they then bath the new kids. They can't even match the music. They can't even rap, they're just black producing. They just wanna crack the new shit. They just wanna act, they then bath the new kids. Sorry big man, sorry big man. With your big life and your kick man. Sorry big man, sorry big man. With your big life and your...
Carrie tells me that I am a better mother to her than her own mother. That breaks my heart. Diane's relationship with Carrie is contentious at best. Diane is an opportunist. She exploits situations. Shortly after Diane moved to North Carolina, I overheard a conversation between her and Carrie about a budget. Carrie offered her mom $300 a month, to which Diane responded, "Why do you have to be so stingy? That's not enough. You owe me. You owe me more than that." I was flabbergasted. The adjectives that I would use to describe Diane are selfish, demanding, and self-centered. Very narcissistic. Diane acts the way that she does because she's never been held accountable. She's a moocher, and she needs to take responsibility for her actions. I want Diane to step up. I want her to be an adult. I want her to apologize to Carrie for treating her the way that she has.
Do you two know each other?
Yes.
You do?
To the extent that when I walk in a room, she will either not acknowledge me or she leaves the room. Do you see the pain on her face? Do you understand what you have done to her? I see it every day. You may think that I'm a B word like you called me, and I don't care, because you and I will never be anything, and I'm okay with that. But you owe her an apology. You owe her an apology for being a piece of garbage mom.
Well, you weren't there.
Oh, I was. When she came out to North Carolina, I saw the way she treated her.
You may have been there in the latter stages, but you weren't there when she was growing up. All what you know is what she told you.
Correct.
So you weren't there. You can't judge what she did when she was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And I'm not talking about that.
But you come out here and start taking her inventory and jumping her ass and giving her all kinds of stuff. You don't know what she did or didn't do.
And I'm basing that on what happened last year when she was in North Carolina.
You're basing it on what you've been told and what you may have seen, and you don't know what all led up to that.
Okay, let's talk about what happened last year. Let's just talk about that. When you showed up in North Carolina, you don't want to talk to me. Okay. Then why are you here? Do you want to have a relationship with her? I've heard her cry to me.
Are you Dr. Phil?
No, I'm not Dr. Phil.
Well, then why don't you just stay out of this?
At this point, it seems to me that the two of you see the world in a really different way. And you clearly feel that she has been, I don't know, how shall we say it, unappreciative of your efforts.
Yes.
To reach out to her and be helpful.
Yes, Dr. Phil.
She has said, what? That's not enough. I want something else.
Well, my husband and I bought her and my stepdad a car last year, and the first thing they said was it doesn't have any hubcaps. I mean,
you want me to drive that?
They couldn't just say thank you or, you know, be appreciative.
Do you remember that?
It was.
Were you there?
It doesn't have hubcaps.
Yeah, I was there. Your husband said it doesn't even have hubcaps. And you turned to Carrie and said, you want me to drive that? If they bought me a car, I'd drive the heck out of it.
And you know why?
Did you not tell me that you were going to have us come out for 2 years because you wanted to help us?
2 years.
And you
there was
just
no
didn't,
set time
you didn't want us to be going through what we were going through.
Exactly. I wanted to help you.
It was so horrible.
Yes.
And what makes you think
totally
that we didn't like what we were doing?
Because of the things that you said. And then when we sat down, I said, I tried to get you guys to talk about a budget. Because that's what you need to have some financial responsibility.
You're right.
To account for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I sat you down.
Is it possible here that you're trying to mother your mother and she doesn't want to be mothered?
If I'm going to be giving money, I'm not just going to be throwing it in the air.
You're completely free to not do that. And
that's what I did. I cut her off after the whole Adderall issue. And from that point forward, everything that's happened to her, everything bad in her life is my fault.
You ask her to make a long trek out to where you live, and she did that with the understanding that there was going to be some type of support and cooperation there where they would be able to have a living situation that worked for them and spent several $1,000s picking up and moving out there. That situation was not as represented, and then had to spend several $1,000s pulling out of there and going back. And so the net effect was that they spent like $10,000, $12,000 going to and from and not improving their situation whatsoever. And so they wound up with a net deficit, which put them in a real hole. That's kind of the net effect, right?
Yeah, it was.
And you wind up in a hole, and and you'd have been better off to have never gone to begin with.
You're right, Dr. Phil. They'd have been better off not coming out to my house and selling drugs from my house. I had to cut you off. I had no choice. I have a life.
Well, Carrie says her mother owes her an apology, but Diane says, no, no, no. If anybody owes anybody an apology, Carrie owes her one. So I'm going to tell you what I think about all this when we come back.
I received a letter from my mother listing all of the things that have gone wrong in her life. The conclusion was that it's all my fault. I read the letter and I put it back in the mail and put return to sender and sent it right back to her. I'm done being manipulated by my mom. If Dr. Phil doesn't help the situation, I'm done.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My daughter was kidnapped by sex traffickers.
Lured to a hotel room by an online friend.
I woke up in a black closet. They made me sleep with over 20 men a day.
Her mother speaks out.
She's not the only victim. But you think I'm a little bit worried about me?
And what she says.
You sound resentful towards her.
May surprise you.
If your child goes missing and you haven't seen them in 2 or 3 weeks, you're not a victim?
That's tomorrow.
I chose to raise Carrie, and this is what I got in return. How horrible. I gave birth to her. I didn't have to keep her. Other people say maternal instinct. I don't necessarily believe in it. I did not have to raise her. I could have just taken her to the hospital and left her there. And right now, actually, what I should have done is just let her dad keep her.
Who says that to their daughter?
Diane says Carrie has no right to judge her when she was a horrible daughter who should at least want to help her after the lavish lifestyle that she provided her growing up. But Carrie says she is fed up with her mother's mooching and wants her to just be a mother and not a burden to everyone. Let me ask just a couple of questions. Do you, have you from time to time asked her for financial assistance or support?
No, I didn't ask. She volunteered. She knew we were struggling.
Okay.
We were having problems, yes. And I honestly don't feel that a child should have to do that.
Right.
However, the losses that you have provided was 15 years ago. Since that time, I no longer drink. We have not drank. We have not gambled for 15 years. My husband and I have lived the life that we chose, and motorhoming to us was what we wanted to do. Now, has it turned out well? We've struggled. We've had our problems. And Carrie and I would talk, and she said, Mom, come on. Come on out.
And what happened when you came out?
Excuse me. This was quite a contrast, because when you were gambling, most people gamble and never get ahead. And it was a real contrast for you because you guys gambled and did get ahead at a time. I think, well, in 92, you had one hand, you won like, I think, $6,200. In 95, $20,000. Another $20,000, then $15,000, then $8,000, and $10,000. So, total, you won like $79,200. I mean,
when you go from, a typical lifestyle to all of a sudden you've got casinos or hosts saying, come on out, we'll take care of you, we'll take care of give you a cabana, a limo. I mean, who wouldn't? Yeah. I mean, and then you get caught up in it.
Yeah, that's
because
science.
It's, I mean, that's what they do. And yeah, exactly. I won't argue that. You just can't say no, but then you also find yourself going, now, is this reasonable? No.
I love my mom, but I can't be treated the way she treats me. The mean things I've said to her is all in defense. I just want to hurt her back.
Then, 2005, I had a complete breakdown. I went in and was treated, helped. I was bipolar, and it's you're doing this, and once you do this manic thing, you're just, you're out of control. You don't know what else to do, and finally your body just says, I can't take any more.
Is it possible that a lot of the things that have really stuck with and pained your daughter are things that have come out of this mental illness cycle that are things you wouldn't do in a rational state, but that you did in some of these phases when you were going like this?
Absolutely. And until I completely bottomed out, attempted suicide, drug, alcohol, gambling, dropped to the bottom, my son, who allowed me to come and live with him, who is a real estate broker and very successful, has 4 kids, and I have spent time with them at their home. He flew out, which he doesn't fly. He came, got me, took him to his home, and did everything to help me get the care I needed. And when that care I needed brought me the realization that, oh, gee, I'm dealing with something bigger than I knew I was dealing with. I was bipolar. I didn't know what I was, I couldn't deal with it.
Did you just put my brother on a pedestal?
Yeah.
Okay,
why?
Hold on a minute.
That's been a problem, I understand.
Is it possible, because, I've been doing this for a long time. You have an open hostility towards your daughter, and she clearly has an open hostility towards you. You two are...
Oh,
you're very much that way. Is it possible that this is a protective device for you?
Oh,
because I don't believe for a second that you have the complete and utter disregard for your daughter that you say you do. That you don't care, don't want to see you, don't care, leave me alone, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe when you say, should have just left her at the hospital. I don't believe that in a rational moment, that's what you would say about one of your children.
I don't even know where that came from. I didn't say that.
No, you did say that.
Yeah, we watched it.
Okay, I might have. I was very upset when I came on stage. I didn't know.
No, you didn't say it on tape. You said it on tape when you weren't upset.
Okay, well, this has been a whirlwind, so I suppose I said that.
But I know you did. But my point is...
Okay.
But my point is, I don't think that reflects your true feelings. I believe you two do have some feelings for one another.
I love my mom, but I can't be treated the way she treats me. And yes, you're right. The mean things I've said to her is all in defense. It's because if she hurts me the way she has, I just want to hurt her back the way she's hurt me.
Yeah, and that gets nobody anywhere.
You're right.
For the two of you to hurt one another. I'm going to offer some alternatives right after the break. You know, here's the deal. You two may not be fast friends and spending every minute of every day together, but you know what? You can hit the reset button, and you can begin with boundaries to start again. And I've often said every situation needs a hero. And if you feel that your mother has transgressed against you,
international. Girl, what's your name? I have to know. Ain't no one else in your lane. Let's fill this car with gas and go. No hesitation, I'm on it. If that's the way that you want it, that's cool with me, so let's ride. Let's go somewhere that you lie.
Then you can choose to forgive her. And if you feel that your daughter has transgressed against you, disappointed you, let you down, you could choose to forgive her, but you two have to be willing to set the reset button. You've got some healing to do, and she's not your therapist, but you need to deal with those things. She was not a perfect mother. Were you a perfect daughter?
No, Dr. Phil.
Okay. That has kind of a symmetry to it, doesn't it? Neither one of you are perfect, so maybe you just kind of start over and say, you know, she doesn't have to be perfect. She can be flawed. And I've learned one thing. It's the last thing I'll say, and you can start with this. You don't have to love everything a person does to love that person. And I'm willing to help either one of you with it going forward to the extent that you want it. Fair enough? Life's short.
Yeah.
Life is short. I want to thank all of my guests today. And we've been talking about mother-daughter relationships here. You know what? When I say life's short, that's not just a catchphrase or a buzzword. You don't know if the people you love will be alive at the end of this sentence. And my advice is do not let the sun set before you say and do the things with the people you love, because it may be your last chance. Log on to drphil.com, share your thoughts. I'll see you next time.